To eliminate the ears at the sides of your toe-up socks or any other project that starts with a seamless cast-on the number of stitches that you need for your project using any method that forms a seamless cast-on, like the Judy's Magic cast-on, for example. And then in the very first round, slip the first stitch purlwise with the yarn at the back of the work. And then work all stitches in whatever pattern you like, usually it's knitting, until you get to the last stitch of the first half of stitches. That would be about here. With the magic loop method, or if you use two circular needles, it's easy because the stitches are already split in two halves. But if you're using double pointed needles and your stitches are split between 4 needles, then you would need to work until you get to the end of the second needle. And then once we get to this last stitch of the first half of stitches, we slip it purlwise with the yarn at the back of the work. And we do exactly the same thing to the second half of stitches. So in the first round, we slip those edge stitches instead of knitting or purling them. So we slip the first stitch, then work to the last stitch of this half of stitches, which would be the last stitch of the round, and then we slip that stitch again purlwise with the yarn at the back of the work. And then we start working in pattern, whatever pattern you follow, with all the shaping required for the toe-up socks, or if there is no shaping, you simply work all stitches in any pattern you like. After you work a few rounds, you will clearly see that this little trick with slipped stitches forms a nice curved shape over here, as opposed to the rectangular shape with all those pesky ears. If necessary, pull the yarn tail to tighten the edge stitch and redistribute yarn over here to tighten the stitches at this side of the work. And this same trick works equally well for socks that are worked from the top down, and we need to finish the toe part by using Kitchener stitch, and for again any other project that requires to be closed by grafting using the Kitchener stitch method. So when we are ready to close the stitches, in the very last round of the work, we also slip the stitches in exactly the same fashion. So we slip the first stitch and then work to the last stitch of the first half of stitches. And then we do exactly the same thing. So we slip this stitch, then rearrange the stitches on the needles and do exactly the same thing to the second half of stitches. Slip one, work to the last stitch of this round, and slip the last stitch. And even looking at these stitches on the needles, you will see how this method works. Because we slip these stitches instead of working them, we already form this curved shape. And when we cut the yarn, thread it into a wool needle and use the Kitchener stitch method to join these stitches together, this shape will stay. It will be as curved as it is over here, like the shape on this swatch. See, this is the cast on and this is the bind off, and they look identical. The shape is very nice and smooth, as opposed to the square shape with these unsightly ears sticking at the sides of the shape when we don't do this little trick. And as you see, the edges are identical, so I had to attach the pins to mark the bind-off edge. Otherwise, it will be impossible to tell where the bind-off edge is. If you like matching cast-on and bind-off methods, go to 10rosday.com/matching-cast-ons-bind-offs. Happy knitting, my friend. I'll talk to you in the next tutorial.